At this time, we'll reconvene the meeting of June 1st, 2015. Councilmember Gomez, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Clower.
Here.
Councilmember Gomez.
Present.
Mayor Velasquez.
Here.
Councilmember Luna. City Manager Rivera.
Present.
City Attorney Sullivan.
Present.
Chief of Police Westrick.
Present.
Thank you very much. Verification of agenda posting.
The agenda for the City Council, the City of Hollister regular meeting of June 1st, 2015 was posted on the bulletin board at City Hall on May 28th, 2015 at 0900 a.m. per Government Code Section 54954.2.
Thank you very much. City Attorney, anything you want to report out?
There's no reportable action was taken in the closed session.
Thank you very much. Tonight we have a proclamation for the Rotary Club 90th anniversary, and we're also going to recognize Joe Fata tonight. So if the Rotary Club would come up to the podium. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
On May 11th, 1925, the Rotary Club of Hollister was chartered by Rotary International. Now therefore, I, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, do hereby congratulate the Rotary Club of Hollister on the occasion of its 90th anniversary and wish them continued success in its various programs to enhance our community.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes? Oh, sure. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Say a few words.
Oh, sure. Well, on on behalf of Hollister Rotarians, thank you so much for the acknowledgement and for the proclamation. For the last 90 years, Hollister Rotarians have been helping our community, helping with our youth in terms of with scholarships and with leadership programs in our communities by helping our nonprofits and with community events and community activities. As well as from a global sense. We help families with shelter, with food, and with education throughout the globe. So on behalf of my fellow Rotarians, which is about 70 strong nowadays, thank you so much for the recognition.
Tonight we're going to recognize Joe Fata. Joe, you want to come up? And we're going to have a day in his honor on June 5th, 2015. I love this guy. So about a year ago, last Christmas, I was at a Christmas show, and this guy came up and started singing and playing the violin and playing all these instruments. And I said, wow, that kid has some talent. My son and daughter who are sitting next to me, Dad, he goes to our school. That's Joe Fata. So you're ready to start your school. My kids right away wanted to play an instrument after hearing Joe, and I know a lot of other kids have the same dream. Now, what's impressive about Joe is he's a mariachi singer, but he didn't grow up speaking Spanish, but he does now. Because he had a dream about being a mariachi singer, went to the dual language school here in town, can speak fluent Spanish now, can play a mean trumpet, violin, and sing unbelievably. So Joe, I really want to thank you, and on behalf of the City Council, June 5th, 2015 is your day in the City of Hollister. I forgot to mention, Joe was also on the TV show La Voz Kids. He did really well. My wife and I were up one night till I think 1 o'clock in the morning voting for him over and over on Facebook. We did really good that night for you. So say a few words. This is yours, buddy. And if you want to sing, go right ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to all of my Mariachi Academy, all of my teachers, my family, the city council for this honor. Just being able to have the joy to inspire all of these children that, you know, want to sing or they want to play an instrument. It's really big for me being able to be a part of that, and I have no words to explain how I feel about how I can put that effect on those children. And so I wanted to thank City Council and my mariachi instructors and my family and all of the people that came here to support me tonight, and thank you.
Joe, we have a couple council members that want to say
Yes,
something to you.
Mr. Mayor, I want to congratulate you for all your talent, and I did vote for you too. And I sent it out to a lot of people. But I do want to say that, you know, it means a lot to me to see you here because of the Feda name, because of the Becerra name, because your families, you know, are true leaders in this community. And they have been. And we're going to wait around for you, okay? To come around and do the same, because you're already there. So congratulations to the Feda family and the Becerras for being here. And Molly, I saw you on TV too, so during the show. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Now the work begins tonight, guys. Let's move to item A, consent resolution. Are there any items council would like to pull?
Mr. Mayor, if it is the pleasure of the council, I would staff would recommend that the council pull items A7 and A8 and continue them to your June 15th meeting. And I would need a motion and a second to do that, if so.
Is there a motion to table item A7 and A8 to the following meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. 4-0 vote.
Was that Victor? That
Mr.
seconded?
Mayor?
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to pull A4.
A4. Any other items from the council? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the other items?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Before we approve them, I have a speaker card for A6.
A6. Okay, item A4, A6. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Yeah, I put in the motion. I'll put in the motion to approve items A1, 2, 3, 5.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 4-0 vote. Move forward with item A4.
Good evening, Councilman or Councilwoman Luna. This is the yearly JAG grant that we do this year. We are going to be asking for funds for body cams.
I'm sorry?
That's, you were talking about A4?
You requested the item you pulled?
Yes, I did. I noticed where it says that there's an understanding. Oh, no, that's the next one. Yeah, I just wanted to know what it was. And you said for body cameras?
It is, and I can answer that for you with the MOU with the county.
Right,
It's
exactly.
required because it's a federal justice assistance grant because we are a desperate agency, which means that we're a small county and it has to go through the county for us to be able to receive these funds. It's something we do yearly.
What is the amount of the grant?
It's $12,688.
Okay, out of that grant, would there be any funding going to the county
No,
itself?
No funding.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Are there any other questions from council? Is there a motion?
So
I'd
move.
like to comment on that. I'm sorry, I didn't know it was for body cams, or I would have submitted
Okay, if you want to make a comment.
Please. Thank you very much for being, for forgiving me not putting it in. I didn't realize I was going to mention body cams. I am in support of body cams, but I am very concerned about the bill moving through the legislature, AB 66, which basically would protect the people who wear the body cams from having the public see what is on them. This bill would basically eviscerate the protections that the public would get from the body cams. The reason I support body cams is to protect both the police department and the public, not just one side of this operation. So I would hope that the city council, if they're going to approve spending money on this, will take a position and send it to the legislature saying that AB 66, which would exempt the body cam from public release, is going to be defeated. I don't think that protects the public if the rules that AB 66 wants to put in, which would be the police department would be allowed to review the tape before they testify as to what happened. The public is not going to be allowed to review the tape before they testify to what happened. Only the police department. That is simply a tilt and an uneven playing field. I trust our police department. I support our police department, but this would apply throughout the state. It would also shield from public release those body cam films, even if it goes to court. And that is simply not a good way to do this. So I hope in the future you will take a position opposing AB 66, which would basically eviscerate the public's protection that they could normally expect from the body cams. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any other questions from the public?
No,
Motion.
Mr. Mayor.
Motion to approve.
Motion, is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0 vote. Let's move forward with item A6.
Marty Richmond?
By the way, this is my normal thing. So thank you for your, Marty Richard from Hollister, thank you for your indulgence. As you know, I support forgiving the loans and forgiving the interest and so on and so forth, provided that the money is, adequate money is used for maintenance of those low-income or subsidized properties. There's no sense in letting people build new properties if they let the old properties go to hell, okay? Because we lose them when they fall out of being a good property. Nobody wants to live there, and then they move on to the new properties. I just want to make sure that our city government is directed to essentially make sure that we're getting a fair return on the amount of money we're about to forgive in maintenance funds, because maintenance of subsidized housing, affordable housing, is absolutely critical. Not just building them. That's, everybody wants to build a new one. Nobody wants to take care of the old ones. Like nobody wants to change the oil in the old car. They want to go out and buy a new one. Well, that's no way to run a railroad. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from council? Okay. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll be against. Motion passes 3-1 vote. Item B, no business. C, public input. This is a time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the city council. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Please note, state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. Do we have any speaker cards?
Chief Westrick?
I'll be brief, but I'm pretty proud of this moment. Mike Patty, could you come up here, please? Officer Patty. So as you know, Officer Patty is a school resource officer with the Hollister School District, and we wanted to commend him publicly for his outstanding work this last year, and I'll be brief. In 2014, you were assigned the very important role of being our department's only school resource officer. Your duties include patrolling a school beat that includes 9 different schools and academies. Your responsibilities include responding to all calls for services on school campuses, traffic, and parking issues, preventative patrol, investigation of all crimes occurring on or around the school campus, and assisting with chronic truancy and problem-solving activities. In addition, you are assigned to work alongside school staff as an instructor for the Gang Resistance Education and Training, or GREAT program, and support ongoing bullying prevention in the OES bullying program, anti-bullying program. During your time in this assignment, you have dedicated yourself to learn as quickly as possible to fulfill your duties in a professional manner. 2 recent cases have shown your dedication and investigative skills. On March 8th, 2015, you investigated a burglary at R.O. Hardin School. 20 laptop computers were stolen during the burglary. You and school staff followed up on leads, and eventually you wrote at least 5 separate search warrants for suspect homes, arrested 4 individuals, recovered several of the laptops that were taken. You were able to identify the juvenile suspects, and the case is still pending in court. In one of your search warrants, you also recovered a stolen firearm from another case. During the month of May, you investigated a case of possession of marijuana. You were able to obtain information that led to a location where others might be in possession of marijuana. You then contacted and arrested other individuals. That again led you to where they obtained marijuana. You followed the trail until you obtained enough information for a search warrant for a home suspected as being used to deal narcotics to our kids in Hollister. On May 13th, you executed the search warrant and arrested 2 individuals for suspicion of selling drugs and 2 parents for contributing to the delinquency of minors, one of them in possession of narcotics. Your actions during this school year exemplify the high standards and value of Hollister Police Department. You are commended for the commitment and service and professionalism for your actions under a stressful situation. Tonight I'm going to give him the Police Commendation Medal for exemplary service, and he'll wear this on his uniform. And we're lucky to have him. Mike, congratulations on excellent work.
Thank you for the award. I appreciate it. All the hard work that I do is to support the city and make sure that the kids here at the school are able to go to school and not have to deal with certain things. So thank you. Thank you for the award.
I'm going to call up Captain Reynoso for a second award here in a minute, but I wanted to just say a couple of things about the School Resource Officer program we have. We did the same presentation at the school district a few weeks ago, and I got to tell you, I was actually at a city council meeting, and Captain Reynoso was the one presenting it. He said that about halfway through him presenting this to Officer Patty, the crowd erupted, and they just loved his work. And really what it shows us is that the work that we're doing, this partnership is really working. And hopefully with the second one that you already approved, we come on really soon here, and maybe even the third one that we're going to investigate and see if we can do it at the high school here real soon. These things are really working for our community, and we need to really encourage these kind of partnerships. And I think what we're seeing tonight is the fruits of that kind of labor. So you should all be very proud of what you've done tonight. So Captain Reynoso, come on up.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I'd like to ask Officer Miguel Masso. He already knows what I'm going to do. You're quick. This is a commendation for Miguel, one of our newest officers that we have here at the City of Hollister. He came to our department back in August of 2014. In a short amount of time, he has dedicated himself to making a difference in our community. and by aggressively seeking out the criminal element and by going above and beyond patrolling his assigned beat. Patrol Sergeant Ray Solano has provided the following details in recommending his actions for a commendation. On January 2015, while working uniform patrol, Officer Masso contacted an individual in the area known for drug use. The consensual encounter led to him building a rapport with this person, and that individual later given him information as to where drugs are being sold in the city. Before long, he was able to ascertain the location of the drug user's supplier. He conducted additional investigation, which led him to obtain a search warrant for a home suspected of drug dealing. He served a search warrant with the assistance of UNET and other department officers. The warrant resulted in money and illegal drugs being located in that home. He then abstracted additional information from that suspect from that home. It led to another search warrant in Hollister for another alleged drug dealer. He once again organized a strike team by using the available resources and executed another search warrant in February of 2015. The second search warrant resulted in the arrest of 2 men and the confiscation of a handgun, thousands of dollars in cash, and over 20 grams of methamphetamine and a large amount of marijuana. He then conducted another search warrant in the month of March at another residence that led to the discovery of over 4 pounds of marijuana, methamphetamine, and scales for sales. Obvious they were selling drugs there. That search warrant resulted in another arrest, and yet another case he conducted another search warrant that led to the discovery of 18 firearms stored by a suspect suspected to have street gang connections. Since you have been with our agency from August 2014, you have made over 160 arrests, investigated 184 cases, written 190 citations, and written 7 search warrants. Those cases have resulted in over 26 pounds of marijuana, 39 grams of concentrated cannabis, 71 grams of methamphetamine, and 23 guns seized off the streets of Hollister. You have proven in a short amount of time your dedication to this department, the men and women who work here, and the honest, law-abiding citizens of Hollister. Your actions exemplify the high standards and values of the Hollister Police Department. You are commended for your commitment, service, and professionalism for your actions. Lieutenant Olson.
What we're going to be presenting Officer Masso today is every year we create a coin for service for our officers. So he'll be given the 2015 coin. And then also the commendation award that we also presented to Officer Patty. This is the police officer accommodation citations to be displayed on their uniforms to signify the officers for excellent service. Congratulations.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate this. Couldn't do this without my family, my wife Michelle, my children. And I couldn't do it without my team and my chain of command. Started with the captain, started with the chief, all the way down to the lieutenant and Sergeant Solano. Couldn't do it without them. Appreciate the opportunity, and I'm honored to receive this commendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much.
Victoria Montoya.
Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Victoria Montoya and I live on Central Avenue. And I'm coming here to speak on this newspaper that came out on May the 15th, City Surveys Locals about beautifying Hollister West Side. And I'm just curious here because my understanding of what I read is that on the first phase, some of this money that was allocated for the West Side has already been, some of this money has been spent for the land where Walgreens is now. And there's not, and then the Survey Monkey that was done is also some money out of this project is going for this. And so when is this beautifying West Side going to happen? Okay, that's my question. Because if we really need to have some walking areas for some of us that like to walk in the neighborhood. And really, there's no bike lanes that are safe. And Graff Road and Hollister, San Juan Road is very dangerous, but I hope that I'm part of the community in that neighborhood. I like to be part of the group that I like to have some remodeling done in the Juan Hernandez Park. So I'm not here to have answers. I'm just here to not forget that West Side still needs help.
Thank you very much.
Marty Richmond?
Boy, that's some tough acts to follow. Marty Richmond from Hollister. I wanted to take the time out for the people who didn't go to the joint meeting between the high school and the city to say thank you to the city council, especially for those people who had a concern for the local residents around the high school. I've sent each of you, and I appreciate your responses, what I think is a comprehensive program that would get it done. But it requires all three entities, the city, the school, and the county, to commit to do their part. And I think if you do that, you can get it done, and you can get it done safely. You can protect the residents, you can protect the students, and you can count on it happening. In other words, what I think my bottom line was, get it in writing, if I remember what I wrote. So get it in writing, get a commitment from the high school to be responsible for all the impacts that that school makes with its neighbors, especially those involving driving automobiles, and the same thing to get a commitment from the county to build the road and not in 2,142. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nancy Durham?
Hi, my name is Nancy Durham, and I'm a resident of Hollister and an SEIU 521 member who works in the City Finance Department at the Payment Center. I do the billing for the city utilities and help with the payment process for the utilities, business licenses, animal control, and other payments on a daily basis. I answer many questions and help direct our citizens through the maze of our city services. Without me, there would be a whole lot of frustrated citizens. I was born and raised in the city of Hollister. My father was one of 12 kids. My grandparents, who lived in the county, had to use an outhouse. They had cold running water in their kitchen sink, and in the summertime, it was hot running water. My father worked hard, so we had a better life. I went to school and earned a bachelor's degree in business accounting. Every year, I volunteer and do VITA, which is a free tax service, income tax service for low-income families. I continue to fight out of poverty. As an SEIU member, we were one of the first to work furloughs, even though most of our workers don't impact the general fund. We gave up our increases in order to work in solidarity and help the city. This created a hardship for my family. But I am not alone. My fellow employees and I have endured the frustration from our community members. And I would like to ask our workers and their families who are present here tonight to please stand up. Take a good look. We are the working people standing together for our communities and our families. These are the people who keep Hollister running and the future of our community and our families. Notice the purple.
Thank you.
Mark Weirick? Weirick.
Hi, my name is Mark Weirick, and I'm an organizer with SEIU Local 521 who represents our frontline city employees. Do you know who our city employees are? These are the people who keep this city running. If there's a water pipe break, they fix it. If a tree falls into the middle of the road, they clear it. If there's an animal control issue, they take care of it. If a road closure is needed to assist in emergency situations, they do it. Without these employees, this city would have no running water, no functioning roads, rundown parks, animals on the loose, and the administration of the city itself would be in complete disarray. Our workers keep the streets clear of debris, they keep the parks clean and beautiful, they keep the city's finances in order, and they keep the water running. In bad economic times, these workers and their families have sacrificed again and again for the well-being of the city. Now that the economy is recovering, our workers need to be able to share in its recovery, to be able to make a living, to be able to provide for their families. These workers just want what's fair. We are bargaining in good faith with the city, and we hope that as we do so, the council will remember the contributions and sacrifices that our frontline employees have made and continue to make. We hope we can count on this council to support the people who keep this city running. And we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Robin Pollard.
Thought I was going to have to listen to all of them. Well, good evening. My name's Robin Pollard. I'm your Park Hill advocate. I've come tonight to share with you SB 317. I don't know if you know about it. It's going through our state senate to boost funding for our local parks. They want to raise it from $200 million to $500 million, which would, and it's per capita, meaning every person in the state would get, by population count. Anyhow, I'm bringing it to you. I'm hoping that you will contact our state senate and let them know that you are in support of improving our parks through state funding. And also, I'm bringing it to you because I feel that you, well, maybe not you directly, indirectly, the Parks Commission has become ineffective because decisions are being made without their input. And so I thought I'd bring it straight to you, start at the top and work my way down. And my last question is, again, who changed the name of Park Hill, and are you going to fix it? And also, who added Memorial to Dunn Park? Because looking around, I haven't found any documentation that it was Dunn Memorial Park. So whoever made those signs, step up. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Martha Lara.
I'm leaving you this so you can contact them.
Just go ahead and give it to Christine.
Martha Lara.
Who is it? Are you speaking on the item on the agenda?
Yeah.
So we'll hold up for that, okay?
Okay.
No more public comment.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's move on to item D1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With regards to the West Gateway project, as you know, speaking to Mrs. Montoya's comments about the West Gateway, just a quick update. Yes, we have. We've been working on that project, obviously, for several years. There is some funding that's left over from some redevelopment agency bonds that were issued back in 2008. We continue to try to look for every source of funding possible to begin that project. We have broken it up into phases. We continue to write grants. Wow.
That's all you have.
Now I'm never going to get back on track. Anyway, so we're hoping to at least start the initial phases by the end of this year. And it is true, she mentioned some funding from Walgreens. As you remember, Walgreens, there was a sale of property that the city sold to the Walgreens, or to Hawkins Development Company, which now is where the Walgreens sit. We're going to be coming to the city council and asking for a portion of that money to be set aside as grant matching sources for some other things that will go over or go on down there on the West Gateway project. As far as SB 317, I honestly, I'm not aware of that Senate bill, but I'm sure I don't know if She
left
it.
She left the paperwork here.
But we'll take a look at that and find out exactly what that's about, and we can report back to you later. She also mentioned the signage at Vista Park Hill. Staff has done some research on Park Hill as well. And over the several decades that the park has been up on the hill, it has gone by 4 different names. There's documentation on all 4. So I think it was recommended by staff to take something to the Park and Recreation Commission to formally name it and then bring that name to the City Council, whatever that name may be ultimately, because it is referred to as Vista Park Hill. It is referred to as Park Hill. That's probably the oldest name, was just Park Hill.
Park Hill.
So we'll bring a recommendation to the City Council and we'll name it, and depending on how that comes out, we'll fix the sign and we'll make sure that it's properly named. I will also check on Dunn Memorial Park. We'll just have to take a gander at that and see what the story is there. So that concludes this part of my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move forward with item E1.
Good evening. This item is a second part of an item that was brought to you back in June 16th of 2014, in which the City Council approved held a public hearing and approved a reimbursement agreement with BMC Promise Way for the construction of a sewer line down San Benito Street. This sewer line has been constructed. We've received all the actual cost of the project from BMC Promise Way, the benchmark developers, and we've reviewed it and find that all the costs are appropriate for this project. The project was inspected by our inspectors. We had to add just a few things in the field, which ended up with striping that we were able to get some additional striping in, which was necessary for the road to come together as one piece. So this item will accept the as-built cost and authorize the city to reimburse BMC Promise Way the city share, which is $510,000 and $510,057 through credits on the sewer connection fee, which currently is $2,690 per per residential dwelling unit. It will also allow.
Can you repeat that number again?
$2,690 per dwelling unit. That's a sewer connection fee at this time. And we'll be reimbursing for a total of $510,057 to BMC, and that would take approximately 190 dwelling units at this time to fully reimburse them. That will encompass all of the Rakovich subdivision, the one currently being constructed, plus additional units in their future projects. The closest project coming to, will hopefully be coming to City Council in June 15th council meeting, will be the Villages, the Brigantino subdivision off of Santa Ana. So with that, we'd like you to open a public hearing, conduct and close the public hearing, and adopt the resolution accepting the as-built costs and authorizing repayment through credit of the sewer connection fee.
Okay, is there any questions from council? Okay, at this time I'll open it for public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor.
This time we'll close public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 2015-111.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0 vote.
Thank you.
Item E2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The item before you this evening is the introduce and read by title only a a new ordinance that would prohibit pharmacies in the city of Hollister to sell tobacco products. The ordinance or the concept was presented to the council in February of this year. The city attorney has drafted the ordinance along with the public health official for this San Benito County. I believe that it only affects 3 or 4 pharmacies in the city of Hollister. The idea behind this, or the grace period, is that those businesses are usually required to receive a tobacco license. Those licenses will not be renewed. Those typically get applied for in November and issued in January. So those businesses have about 6 to 7 months before they need to remove the products from their shelves. With that, Brad's here to answer any other questions. Any questions that that you have that I can answer, I will certainly try. Otherwise, staff recommends opening the public hearing and receiving all written and oral testimony.
Is there any questions from council? Councilmember Luna?
Yes, City Manager Rivera, what would be the tax impact, negative impact on the city?
You know, without doing some additional research on that, I can't really tell you, but I would say this. If I was going to use some common sense, and if I normally would get my cigarettes, say, at a pharmacy, I would probably, and that pharmacy no longer sold my cigarettes, I would probably go to another vendor or retailer in the city and purchase them. So I think the net decrease for us is probably very, very minimal. I don't see that actually being something that we could probably quantify real easy, but I can certainly try to figure out what those pharmacies sell. There must be some study somewhere that we can tap into, and I can certainly try to get that answer to you this week, or at least by the next meeting.
Okay,
and excuse
to
me.
follow that, oh, go ahead.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your councilman. There were a number of public interest websites that I checked on in coming up with the language, and that has been found to be the case, that people would then buy at a liquor store, or they would buy at a grocery store that doesn't have a pharmacy as part of it, that they go to other outlets.
Yeah, I wanted to follow it up, that I personally went into one of the drugstores, and I viewed the display, and I asked for the numbers of sales. I left my card, and I never got a response.
Yeah, I found that a lot of the entities that this would apply to may want to continue selling, but publicly they felt that it was a kind of a hard message to be selling health and wellness in a pharmacy setting, and that they were actually making more money on smoking cessation, you know, the patch and things of that nature, than they were on actually selling the tobacco on the other side of the store.
That was my question.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? Okay, at this time we'll open for public hearing.
Martha Lara. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Public Health is here today to thank you for supporting the initiative to stop the sale of tobacco products in Hollister pharmacies. When this was introduced in February 2015, we were overwhelmed by the support of both council members and community members. Communities throughout the state and country are adopting tobacco-free pharmacy laws as part of ongoing efforts to lower tobacco-related diseases, burdens, and rising healthcare costs through better prevention policies and programs. Our neighboring counties are planning to ask their city council members to enact similar policies and similar changes. In spite of recent years of health progress in California, tobacco use and exposure is still by far the leading cause of preventable death and diseases. And our state is still the largest cigarette market in the United States. Hollister has the opportunity to help lead the way in recognizing that cigarettes and pharmacies don't mix. The American Medical Association, American Pharmacists Association, California Pharmacists Association, California Medical Association all oppose the sale of tobacco products in pharmacies and have called for the adoption of state and local prohibitions of tobacco sales in pharmacies. Pharmacies are considered among the most trusted sources of health information for the public. 4 of our 6 pharmacies, meaning Target, Answer, and Uphill, do not sell tobacco. Walgreens is reviewing this matter at corporate level, as well as Safeway, Rite Aid, and Save Mart, which currently sell tobacco. There is a very strong correlation between tobacco use and many serious health issues. While other substances can also have adverse effects with high consumption, there is far less evidence at this time to indicate that consumption of sugary snacks and alcohol in moderation possess a significant health threat. The evidence against tobacco use is simply too strong to ignore. There is no safe level of tobacco consumption. We want to thank you for your desire to make Hollister the best place to live, work, and visit. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm Anju Goyal. I'm the health officer for San Bernardino County. Councilmember Luna, I'd like to address your question about tax revenue related to tobacco sales. So I'd like you to consider the total cost of tobacco rather than just loss of tax revenue. So for each dollar that's generated in tax revenue, the state of California spends $21 on direct and indirect costs related to tobacco. And that includes things like healthcare, direct costs, and loss from work, loss of years of life. So while we may be losing a very small amount in tax revenue, I think that what we're gaining in health measures is far more significant, and what we're gaining in dollars by not having to pay those direct and indirect costs related to smoking is greater.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers?
No.
Okay, at this time we'll close public hearing. Is there a motion from council?
So move.
Second?
Mr. Flower and Victor, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Motion carries, 4-0 vote. Let's move forward to item F1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The resolution the City Council has before you tonight would memorialize basically the agreement that we have, the City of Hollister has with the San Bernardino County Water District, and being the sole distributor of recycled water under our California Regional Water Quality Control Board Order R3 2008-0069. If you'll recall, we had a study session a few weeks back. Jeff Catania, from the district manager from the San Bernardino County Water District, provided you with a history of why and where we are today as it relates to our reclaimed water production from our wastewater treatment plant and the plans to deliver that water to irrigate fields just to the north or on the way to the airport. Again, this agreement is essentially in effect for a period of 30 years. It will be automatically renewed in 10-year terms unless written notice of non-renewal is delivered by one of the parties. Both parties are required to maintain the rules and order under the Regional Water Quality Control Board. We both have several things that we need to continue to do to be in compliance. I can go through each one of those. If you have any specific questions, Jeff stayed here this evening to answer them, or I will do my best as well. Otherwise, staff recommends to adopt the resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the MOU with San Bernardino County Water District for reclaimed water usage.
Are there any questions from council? The only question I have, the only thing that bothers me is the amount of money we paid to run the pipeline over towards the airport. I believe is $3 million. How are we going to be paid back on that money that was invested in that pipeline? I like the idea of San Benito Water taking over the responsibility of it, distribution, but I still have concerns about how we're going to be reimbursed for that, the money we put out.
I don't believe that there was any discussion about being reimbursed for the line that we put to the airport initially, but there was a $800,000 contribution by the water district in that line. Again, we were producing reclaimed water when the plant opened in 2008. So we've been using, quote unquote, that pipeline for the last 7 years roughly to provide water out to the airport for the spray fields. I don't know if Jeff has anything else to add to that, but from here on out, all costs associated with the reclaimed water, basically outside of the fence of the plant, remains the sole responsibility of the water district from here on out into the future.
Okay, I still have
So no, it's infrastructure that we put in to take care of the reclaimed water that we had while we were going through this process. Our initial investment, or I'll say the.
Am I correct in saying it was $3 million?
You know,
pretty close to
it was just about $3 million.
About $3 million,
Yeah.
as I recall.
Yeah, and again, the water district paid about $800,000 of that pipeline that goes.
No, should be. They can hear you.
They can hear me, okay. We paid about $800,000 of the cost of putting that pipeline in, and it was because at that time the district anticipated the possible future use of that. That covered the cost of the pipeline, the piece of it that comes out the Wright Road and goes out to basically Highway 25, and then the rest of it going out to the airport. The entire pipeline was built because the city needed to find an alternative disposal site for the wastewater, because they were overtaxing the wastewater ponds that they were currently out at the wastewater plant. So they needed to find an alternative site to be able to dispose of wastewater. In addition to that, the district wanted to partner with the city to be able to put that pipeline to better use. So we paid a portion of that cost of that pipeline so that we could use it in the future as a recycled water pipeline.
That's the $800,000?
That's the $800,000.
So we spent $2.2 million.
Approximately, yeah.
2.2 million.
I knew it wasn't on. So, as far as reimbursement for that, if the district had never partnered with the city, you'd have paid the full cost. I mean, there was some additional cost because we wanted the pipeline to be slightly larger. But you would have had to build the pipeline anyway because you needed to find a place to dispose of the existing wastewater flow that you had.
Correct, but we'd also be selling that water eventually. So is there a way we can work something out that we can kind of get reimbursement for that pipe?
Currently, the way that the agreements are set up and the way that we have all of the agreements set up to this point, there wasn't a consideration for the additional, paying the city back for that. We did, as part of the project, contribute $10 million to the water treatment plants that we are not asking for reimbursement for. So in a way, this is all part of a larger project that includes the water treatment plants that the city is going to be benefiting from. And the water treatment plants are going to be able to deliver water to the city that will allow you to avoid having penalties on your waste discharge order, because without the better quality water, you'd be in violation of your waste discharge orders. The water that's going to be coming out of the plant now, you won't have to worry about where you're going to dispose of that and worry about future disposal costs, because now the water district's going to be taking a majority of that cost. So it's all part of a bigger project that we're working on together. So the discussions about reimbursement now for a piece of the pipeline would kind of complicate things, and I don't think that was the original intent when we went into this.
No, I agree. It complicates things, but at the end of the day, $2.2 million was spent by the city. We're putting in money for the new plant also, $10 million. Soon to be, according to the agenda, $11 million. just wonder what we can do about that piece to recoup that cost. Again, we have obviously citizens in this community are paying $86 for the sewer hookup, and I believe that fee was part of that, probably came out of there to make sure we can get that pipe out there. I'm sure it came from the same fund.
It did, but again, this is part of a larger project that we're all partnering on, and so we're all absorbing costs, and there's avoided costs that the city is going to enjoy in the future, not having to deal with of disposing of that wastewater. You won't have to pay for any of the power. We're going to be paying for all the power to pump the water out there. So if you'd had to dispose of the wastewater out at the airport like you would, you're going to be paying for the power component of that to pump that out there. That's no longer going to be your cost. It's going to be the water district's cost. You won't have to worry about as your capacity grows in your wastewater plant where you're going to be disposing of that water in the future. We're going to be taking care of that because we're going to be taking that water and taking the majority of it as the capacity increases and using it as reclaimed water for irrigation.
And it's going to be sold.
It's only going to be sold at a cost basically that recovers the actual cost that the water district's putting into the project. It's not going to, we're not making a profit off of this. We're basically just selling it for whatever the cost is that we have into it.
Okay. Are there any other questions from council?
If I could also add, one of the things that District Manager Catania and I have talked about is the Brigantino Park and taking spray fill or purple water away from that particular facility and using well water, which would benefit the city. And I think there's opportunity for us to work together on that so that there isn't any restrictions of usage at that particular facility. So again, we're trying to make sure that we get off of the reclaimed water per se, and they take over 100% of that. So there may be some opportunity for us.
So there is opportunity, and I understand the issue. I know it's been discussed for quite a while, but at the end of the day, for me, it's the city still put $2.2 million out there. How do we get that back? If it's over 30 years, 50 years, that's fine, but it needs to be accounted for, in my opinion. Is there any more discussion, or is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Against? Aye. Mr. Gomez and Mr. Clower?
I'm in favor. I moved. So moved.
Okay. Okay, 3-1 vote. Thank you very much. Move to item F2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The item that you have before you this evening regarding the $1 million of enterprise funds to serve as gap funding is related to the, in a sense, related to the last item. As you know, we've been working on this for several years. The San Benito County Water District has agreed to finance up to $30 million for the Hollister Urban Area Water Treatment Program, or I can't remember now. We have so many acronyms, it's ridiculous. Anyway, so as the project has been delayed in some sense regarding a favorite little creature of ours and some other things, we are looking at going out to bid here shortly in the next few weeks. One of the things that's imperative for agencies before they release a bid document for a project is to assure that proper or enough funds are available to complete the project. Where we are right now is that the Sunny Slope County Water District, San Benito County Water District, and now the City of Hollister is being asked to set aside $1 million of reserve funds to bring the total project cost up to $33 million in the event that the project comes in at a little bit higher than what we had originally anticipated. Currently, the engineer's estimate for the water treatment plan is approximately $19,670,000, I think it is, and so this money is really just part of again a gap financing to get us to the point where we actually know the actual cost of the building or the bid, and that will be incorporated into a long-term finance deal through tranche 3. Jeff is here again if you have any questions about their long-term finance commitment. Again, the Water District is the one that has stepped up to the plate essentially and will provide us with sort of the long-term financing for the West Hills project. I think the biggest benefit for the city of Hollister is it's not necessarily going to be borrowing money that it doesn't need to use in the future. If you'll recall, the example that I gave earlier is, we issued a bond for about $120-something million on the wastewater treatment facility, and the project came in, I think, at about 110. And so, one of the things that we did immediately is we refunded that, but there's still a cost of borrowing money regardless of the length of time. So I think this is a very inexpensive way to make sure that gap is filled. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're spending $1 million. It's just having it available so that we can release the bid. When do we release, on the 18th?
It's out to bid right now.
Oh, is it out to bid right now? Okay. And the bids are due back on July.
Second week in July.
If there is any other questions, I would be more than happy to try to answer them for you.
Any questions from council? Councilmember Luna?
Actually, I believe I already discussed this with you. And by taking the $1 million from fund the reserves of 620, we're assuring that that we have plenty of reserves left in that fund.
Yes, I believe there's about a little over $4 million in that fund, and I should also mention that Sunny Slope County Water District took action at their meeting last month. And did the Water District do their? And the Water District has made their commitment already as well. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions, council? Any speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2015-113.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
4-0 vote. Item F3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the City Council, good evening. On May 26, 2015, the City Council held a public hearing to introduce Ordinance 1116, an ordinance to pre-zone a 1-acre site into medium-density residential performance overlay zoning designation for future annexation into the corporate limits of the City of Hollister. Property is located south of Buena Vista Road, west of Calaveras Elementary School, and north of Central Avenue. Staff was directed to schedule a second reading of the ordinance for today, June 1st, 2015. There have been no changes to the proposed ordinance. Staff recommends to read by title only, waive full reading, and adopt ordinance number 1116. Any questions for staff?
Any questions from council? Speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion?
Motion to adopt ordinance 1116.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 4-0 vote. Move forward to item F4.
Thank you. Resolution 2015-114 is a resolution of the City Council authorizing an execution of an annexation agreement with the applicant. And resolution number 2015-115 is a resolution requesting LAFCO to initiate proceedings for the annexation of territory of the 1-acre site, and that has just been pre-zoned with ordinance 1116. Pending approval of these resolutions by the council tonight, staff will then forward the application to LAFCO for their review and process of the annexation. With this, staff recommends the City Council adopt Resolution 2015-114, approving the annexation agreement and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement on behalf of the City of Hollister, and adopt Resolution number 2015-115, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hollister requesting LAFCO to initiate proceedings for the annexation of territory. Is there any questions?
Any questions from council? Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion?
Motion to adopt resolution 2015-114.
And 115 also?
Yeah.
And of course, 115.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 4-0 vote. Thank you very much. Move forward to item F5.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Good evening. On May 26th, 2015, the City Council held a public hearing to introduce Ordinance 1117, and this is an ordinance to pre-zone multiple properties located for the future annexation into the R1 Low Density Residential Performance Overlay Zoning District. Essentially, the low density would be in keeping to the existing neighborhood in the vicinity of these properties. The properties are located south of Hillcrest Road, between El Cerro Drive to the west and Los Altos Drive to the east. Staff was directed to schedule a second reading of the ordinance for today, June 1st. There has been no changes to the proposed ordinance. In addition, a mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the pre-zoning project and circulated for a 30-day public review period. On April 23rd, 2015, the Planning Commission approved resolution number 2015-9, recommending to the City Council the approval of the mitigated negative declaration for this pre-zone. With this, staff recommends City Council to adopt resolution number 2015-116, adopting the mitigated negative declaration for pre-zone 2014-10 and approving the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and read by title only and adopt ordinance number 1117. Does the council have any questions for staff?
Do you have any questions from council? The only question I have, I didn't see a park. Maybe I missed it. Is there a park planned in here?
There is an existing park right now. However, this is just for the pre-zoning of it, and then pending pre-zone, we will send it over to LAFCO, and then pending LAFCO's approval, then we will see a tentative map. And
you could be more specific.
Absolutely,
okay.
Yes.
All right. Is there a motion from council?
Motion to approve resolution 2015-116 and waive full reading and adopt ordinance 1117.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries 4-0 vote.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item F6.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This is our item as well. This item includes two resolutions. Resolution 2015-117 is a resolution authorizing the mayor of the City of Hollister to execute an annexation agreement with the property owners who applied for the annexation of territory for this pre-zone, same pre-zone south of Hooker's Road that was just adopted with ordinance 1117. And resolution number 2015-118 is a resolution requesting LAFCO to initiate proceedings for the annexation of territory for the multiple properties south of Hooker's Road, again, that you have just pre-zoned with this last item, ordinance 1117. So pending approval of these resolutions by your council tonight, staff will then prepare the application for LAFCO, send it off to LAFCO for the review and process of the annexation. With this, staff recommends the adoption of resolutions number 2015-117 and 2015-118. Are there any questions for staff?
Any questions from council? I'm going to repeat the same thing, making sure we're covering the park issue, and the CFDs are going to be worked out before it's approved.
Very well, Mr. Mayor. On the annexation agreements, there is language that indicates that they would have to, that the property owners would have to agree into annexing into the CFD and the CFDs that are applicable for the area. So yes, absolutely.
I see the speaker card. Now, I know the school issue was dealt with in the report. I want to make sure they're continuing in the conversations.
Very well.
We are getting to the point now where it's clearly we're starting to max out the school district, and they're a vital part of any future growth. So we're not overwhelming our system here. Okay.
Absolutely. We have communicated with them, and we have received their comments, and we've been in dialogue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr.
Marty Richmond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Marty Richmond from Hollister. My comment does not applies actually to all these tentative maps, not just this one, so I'll just use this one as an example. We have to start laying out our requirements for tentative maps if we want parks, if you want bicycle lanes, if you want linear parks rather than pocket parks so they don't cost as much to run. All these things we say we want, if we keep approving tentative maps that don't have those things, not just parks, but other things, then eventually what we do is we build a city without it. I mean, it's just obvious. Okay, now we've done a lot of talking about requiring linear parks so that these things do not wind up with a stone fence around them and only one exit and one entrance, so the only thing you can do is walk wherever you, drive wherever you want to go, you can't walk. Or same thing for bicycle lanes, and so the linear parks work well when you have two entrances, you go through and you have linear parks. I know no developer wants to be the first guy in the basket, and we all understand that. But, given a fair warning at some time, we've got to say, we have to have a point system or something and say, look, you get more points, we're more willing to give you a tentative map if you give us the things we want, because this is all about horse trading. That's all it is. And if you don't ask for the saddle, you'll just get the horse, okay? But if we want the saddle, you got to ask for the saddle. And my concern is we just keep building, and I'm pro-development, but if we just keep building small projects that look exactly like the small projects we don't like, we just get more of them, and we just kind of put them in. They're all made maximum, you look at some of the tentative maps and the houses are all lined up, one pop, 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 pop. There's no, we talk about moving the front yards, closer to the street. We don't do it. We talk about doing all this stuff. We don't do it. So I encourage you to, in the future, with fair warning to the developers, we gotta give them fair warning. Shouldn't be somebody at random who gets to be the loser, to start doing that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there any other speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just if you like, I could answer a little bit about that. This is just for the pre-zoning part of it. The tentative map will be coming afterwards, speaking to some of the applicants, and absolutely we will see more in detail at that point. But yes, especially since the last joint Planning Commission City Council meeting addressing the park issue, we have, Planning Department has looked into more in depth for the requirement of parks. We have Apricot Lane, the west side of West Side Boulevard, incorporating a park. The Villages on Santa Ana incorporating a park. Walnut Park 13, just in front of Cerro Vista, incorporating a park. So we are looking into that. We've heard the council loud and clear, so absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
For that.
Welcome.
Do you have
Just a comment.
statement?
Thank you, Abraham.
Yes.
Because I think you realize that. I think we have been bringing that up.
Yes.
And we are encouraging the park, and, we're bringing families in to live in
Yes.
these homes. There's children involved.
Yes.
So, of course, we're thinking of that. It's
Yes.
not that we are just voting here to approve all these resolutions without thinking of the impact on our community, our schools, and the community as a whole. So thank you
Absolutely.
for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2015-117 and Resolution 2015-118.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 4-0 vote.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Move forward to item G1. Partnership between the city and Sunny Slope County Water District for code enforcement.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a real brief update. We've been, the city of Hollister has had a few meetings with Sunny Slope County Water District. In fact, they took an item to their board at their last meeting in May. We are going to be working in conjunction, our staff, the code enforcement staff, code enforcement officers are going to be working and making sure that we help Sunny Slope County Water District in and out of the city limits, do some of the enforcement that's required with the new conservation programs that we have all adopted with as it relates to watering. I was just bringing it as a result, as a report to let you know that this is occurring. And if you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. We, since we have the staff already on board to do it. It just looked like I think Sunny Slope County Water District just felt that it was a little bit more efficient so that they didn't necessarily have to go out and hire staff and then not hire, and then remove staff once the drought was over and whatnot. So we're taking on that responsibility with them for a while now.
Okay, is there any questions from council? I guess the question I would have is, I know what we laid out as far as the use of water, but it seems a little hard to be sending out code enforcement because somebody has a sprinkler system on. Isn't there an easier way to do it by usage? If I think the goal was percentage, 20%
and
lower,
really,
or is that overall in the overall community?
It's overall, and actually Sunny Slope has seen some really good numbers this last month. But I kind of hate to say it this way, but it's about consumption overall. But I also believe that, you know, the water district, the state water resource board really wants to see us doing some true enforcement and hammering the message home. So we have the program as it sits right now is we utilize Sean at the Water Resources Agency. When somebody calls and complains, we kind of use him as the first clearinghouse. If he gets a phone call about a particular residence or a particular situation, kind of the second one, he transfers that over to our department. Our department then sends out a nice letter that says, we understand, you know, here's some things that you can do. Contact the Water Resource Agency if you have issues with your thing. So it's not until about the third time before we actually start going out there and trying to do the investigation on a particular property and then ultimately the fine. So we've added a one extra sort of friendly step at the beginning of that, so it's not so heavy-handed, but the district managers and myself, and I think actually even Mike would concur that it's really about, they want to see numbers at the end of the month about how many violations and citations we wrote. It's not as friendly as just saying, you know what, let's try to conserve 25% or 28% or 28, you know, whatever the number is for the different jurisdictions. It's kind of a heavy-handed sort of situation.
Councilmember Luna?
Yeah, I would be a little concerned about what part-time really means. You know, when you're talking about having one of our staff members assist another water district with part-time, but part-time, what would that mean? I mean, days, hours?
We're trying to do a couple of things. We'll probably have an officer out there for 20 hours a week. We're in the process of one of our temporary help folks going out there and doing some of the sort of the clerical aspect of it, taking the phone calls, writing the letters, and then we have one of our officers going out and doing the actual investigation and the work. We will bill Sunny Slope County Water District for our time and our cost that's associated with that. When we talk about 20 hours a week, that's what we kind of project that we'll actually be spending out there. It may not be that much. It could be much more. Until we actually get into things, we don't really know. So,
yeah, my concern would be for the main code enforcement officer to be doing this part-time work.
Yeah,
going out there.
It is. I will be the first one to admit it's disappointing that we have to use our staff to be sort of the water police, but that's exactly where we're at right now.
Okay. All right.
And hopefully it doesn't last. Hopefully it rains this year.
I just, it's terrible that we have to drive around looking for people wasting water. I think it's much more efficient to be looking at their usage and, hey, if you're over so much.
Yeah. About the usage.
I know you can't do the tiered pricing and all those things yet, but
that's difficult. But what we are doing is we are looking at. I think Sunny Slope has decided that they are going to look at the top 300 in consumption. Their top 300 water users, and they're going to directly market them initially and make sure that they are using what they're supposed to be using, and there isn't any more or less. So I think there's a lot of outreach, and if we can do the outreach up front, like I said, we've seen a tremendous amount of savings just in the first month. So it may work.
So you will not be coming back to request another part-time employee for code enforcement due to our part-time staff being there?
Not unless it becomes just so overwhelming that but I don't think we don't predict that, no.
Okay.
I think it also, again, we talked about this at one of the other meetings, or maybe at one of our discussions. I think part of it is people understanding how much the units mean. If if we could put it on their bill where it shows how many gallons they're using and what they should be using, or an average, maybe if it's 10,000 gallons a month, but you're using 15,000 gallons, you're way over the average, or
Yeah.
whatever that number is. I think if there was more clarity in that bill, instead of, yeah, the unit means 7.14 or something like that.
4.8, yeah.
Right? But we might know that, but the public doesn't.
Yeah.
They think, oh, great, I've just used 900 gallons this month, or 1,000 gallons. I did great. So I think that might help people understand their usage. And maybe that would help cut back on us having to chase around people that think it's okay to flood their driveways.
Mm-hmm.
Are you speaking about possibility of a report like PG&E is now sending out, where it scares the heck out of you when you are comparing from last month to last year? And I don't know if you read your report,
Yes,
but
I
I
do.
do.
I do.
You know, and it's very detailed. So I'm not sure, because the water is based on cubic feet of water, and that's how you can calculate the formula to get the gallons. Nobody's going to do that, really.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If it just listed the gallons or usage, if somehow that could be added to that bill, it might be a little easier for people to understand.
And we actually are. I think we're actually trying to go back to 2013, because that's the numbers that really are relative. It's the 2013 numbers versus the 2015 numbers. Keeping in mind that, you know, we understand that some properties have changed hands and family dynamics have changed over the years. So, you know, we'll send a bill to somebody, someone's property, and hopefully somebody like myself and maybe you folks, you've been in a house for a long, long time, so you can start to see, you know, what the difference is between the 2013 numbers versus now. But we are trying to make it clear. We're trying to keep it simple, so that everybody understands exactly what their units are, and going to gallons possibly versus just a unit thing. It's just we're working with our
It'd be
billing
helpful.
agencies to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move forward to item G2.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm going to provide you with a report on the status of the power purchase agreement out at the solar power plant. I guess I drew the short straw.
I wasn't going to do it.
So I started this by getting my hands on the agreement and going through the complete agreement. So the agreement was began in the year 2010. It will expire in the year 2039. The way the agreement works, it has a schedule that we pay per kilowatt hour of the power produced by the solar panels. And we are required to purchase all the power generated by those solar panels. So 5 years in, I was able to take the average of the power that's being produced out there. Some years there's a few more cloudy days than others. We're doing real good lately because it's a drought. And I was able to kind of average a number to predict how much the bills would be in the future off that 5-year average. And the total cost of this entire power purchase agreement is $19.3 million over the 40 years or 30 years. There is 2 purchase clauses in the agreement. They're kind of vague. I did go meet with legal reviewed it, and he is under the opinion that we can use that as an option. Under one of the purchase clauses, the value of the panels is calculated by this complicated formulas. The other, and the agreement, that clause allows us to purchase the panels at year 15, 10 years from now. And then it's calculated by that complicated thing. There's another clause, and it's simply titled termination. And that requires us to pay fair market value or the value according to the depreciation schedule included in the agreement. I have the depreciation schedule in the agreement, and the good news is in 2013 and 2014, it took 2 huge hits. So currently, according to that schedule, the termination value of the panels is 36% of their original cost, which works out to about $2.9 million. So calculating the PG&E numbers was a lot more difficult. During this exercise, I uncovered some stuff I'm still trying to get figured out with PG&E. Quite frankly, I find them unhelpful, and they really try to make this stuff more complicated than it needs to be. But ultimately, it appears we're paying about 30% higher electrical rates through the solar power purchase agreement than we would be if we were just buying the power from PG&E. The reason why that is hard to calculate is during the summer, we pay 6 different rates during one 24-hour period. During winter, we pay 2 or 3 different rates during each 24-hour period. So it's kind of by averaging and tying things down, but ultimately it kind of works out to be that we should be paying about, if we were paying the average with PG&E, it'd be 14 cents a kilowatt hour, and we're currently paying 20 cents through the power purchase agreement. So I request that you don't kill the messenger, and we're looking for direction.
I'm just glad you did the work and brought it forward. It's better to address the problem than to keep ignoring it. So thank you. I'm not killing you. I know you weren't the one that went out there and made this deal happen. I've said this, and I hope people listen to me out there. These are really bad deals. Purchasing power agreements are just not your friend. They end up costing you a fortune in the long run. No matter what anybody tells you, you're pretty much going to get a bad deal out of it. I'm glad to see the clause or the ability to buy out. Buying out at this price is a little high, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot cheaper than continuing on this path of destruction. And if we could move forward and let the other council members speak first, but I would think we want to aggressively look at purchasing out of this agreement, which would save us quite a bit of money in the long run, tens of millions of dollars. Councilmember Luna?
So this purchase agreement began in 2010?
Yes, ma'am.
So right now we're into 5 years?
That is correct.
And actually we can go to 2039?
The agreement terminates in 2039. I did do the numbers on the return of investment on purchasing it out at $2.9 million, and it would take about 6 years at our current levels to recoup that $2.9 million, according to the payment schedule that's laid out for the future. Just a little less than 6 years.
Is it possible to get your formula and your breakdown?
Yes,
of
ma'am.
what you've done? Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from Councilmember Clower?
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. I'm sure this was kind of a harrowing experience uncovering these numbers. Obviously, this is the first time I've seen this, and it's ridiculous. And my numbers are kind of all over the place. I'm not sure if I was calculating it right as you were talking, but it looks like you're talking about $3 million to buy it, and 6 years to recoup. My only concern is maintenance. Do we have any idea how much it's going to cost to maintain it? Because really, I mean, it's only costing us $5 million to hold it for 25 years, and we're going to buy it for $3 million. If it's going to cost us an arm and leg to maintain it, I don't think it's quite as easy as a decision as we want it to be.
Well, the price goes up every year, and when you're getting out towards 2029, you're going to be paying $750,000 a year for electricity.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to 2037, you'll be breaking $1 million a year for electricity. So the numbers get larger and larger as we go along.
Did you calculate the same increase for PG&E? Because I imagine PG&E is going to get more expensive as we go along, too.
That is difficult to do. PG&E does not make that easy.
Okay.
With 8 different rate structures.
And partly this is exactly why we're in this predicament that we're in, is that the power purchase agreement, it does exactly that. You're betting on what costs more, PG&E rates or those rates. And I mean, there's obviously a green element in this that we shouldn't forget about, but the reality is that the dollars and cents part is that we were betting on the fact that PG&E rates were going to climb higher than the purchase rate through the agreement.
And I'm kind of in the same area as Councilmember Luna on this. I'd like to see the numbers, and probably going to have like 5 or 10 more questions to try to really drill down on it and figure out what's what.
I will email it to both of you before I leave tonight.
Thank you.
So I'm in this industry, the problem with these deals is there's a lot of speculation of you have to get this deal now or PG&E is going to raise their rates way higher than what we're doing. And the reality of that, it's just not true. It hasn't been true since these things were introduced. And a lot of people that got into these deals early are paying a hefty price for it. This is a lot of usage that we use at the plant, and paying it at 30–40% more than the market rate is outrageous. The cost to maintain these modules is actually quite low. It doesn't take a lot of maintenance. A person can go out there once or twice a year to make sure everything's working right. The monitoring systems will tell you something's going on. It's very inexpensive compared to what we're looking at here to maintain this type of a system. And we'll see, as you pointed out, the return within 5 years compared to the cost over the next 30 years. Councilmember Gomez?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe if this was a pizza purchasing agreement, I would have made a better I would have made a better decision 5 years ago. So what are we currently paying? What's our bill? What's our annual bill at the wastewater treatment facility?
About $400,000.
$400,000. So essentially, our bill would be roughly $320,000 if we were buying directly from PG&E.
That's correct.
So we're wasting like $90,000, $80,000 per year on this deal currently. So, I'm sorry?
Well, that increases each year.
Yeah, it increases. Okay, yeah, like this year. This year. Okay. So it makes. It sounds to me that it makes quite a bit of sense to move forward with purchasing it, at least superficially right now, looking at this from this 2-page report. But I'm with my fellow council members. I do need to see a little bit more, obviously, before we make any decision. And I don't think you were looking for a decision today anyway. Just a little bit of information for us. And it's interesting. I mean, I was mayor when this agreement came forward. I'd love to see those people that were sitting in that room pushing for this when we reevaluate this.
Well, I called them.
You know,
they didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They're in hiding now.
Yeah,
In fact,
I'm sure they are.
That was his exact words.
But anyway, I would like to see more numbers on this, and I think it's pretty clear what path we're going to end up taking. But I'm with the mayor on this as well. I appreciate you guys taking the time and getting this information and delivering it to us instead of hiding it, because hiding the problem will not help us at all. So thank you.
Councilmember Luna?
I have another concern, and this is just because of what you mentioned with PG&E. What kind of, are they not wanting to work with you and giving you these numbers, or?
Well, I'll put it all out on the table. When I was compiling the bills and going through the bills, I noticed a huge jump, because on top of this, we have a little PG&E bill too we pay too. It's about another $60,000. But I noticed a huge jump in our PG&E bill starting in January. Between January and April of this year, we paid PG&E over $100,000 in electric bills. And it appeared to me that we were not getting credited for generating any solar power for that time. And since I brought that up, because if you look at all the other years, it's nowhere near that. And if you look at the other bills, the part that shows because the bills don't show your solar generation on it, they kind of ignore that. They show you the numbers after the fact. But there's a graph where if a particular value is below the line, it's you generating power. And for those 4 months, it doesn't show that we generated any power. So something's screwy in there, and I'm not done with them yet. In fact, they came out and changed the meter about 3 weeks ago. But for whatever reason, they're being less than helpful. Plus, in between all this, the PUC changed the way that solar billing is done. It used to be done on an annual basis, and about a year ago, they switched it to an ongoing basis. So that kind of screwed everything up too. So in reality, we're comparing apples to cherries to oranges to bananas. And it drove me bananas, to be totally honest with you.
Well, if I can help explain what's going on here. So prior, we called it true-up. They would send you the bill at the end of the year, but monthly to let you know what amount of electricity you were still purchasing from PG&E. That is still the case, by the way. There's probably something going on with the rate they have us on that we have to look at. But the reason the numbers are down in those months you're talking about is winter months, it produces a fraction of what it does in the other months. So we look at May through October as the peak months, production-wise. So in January, December, January, and February, it's the lowest production. So usually you don't see it go below the line. There's more usage from PG&E than the solar can produce. It's a complicated system, but
yes,
you know, we do this all the time. As I said, I could help you do this. We do it every day. I could help you go through that and understand that, and we can run the numbers so you can see it clearly. So it's just a production issue with winter compared to summer.
And that's the industrial plant billing, or
the domestic.
The domestic plant
Yes,
billing.
ma'am.
That's only that
Yes,
billing.
ma'am.
The other bills with PG&E,
Totally separate.
they're totally separate.
In fact, there's 2 meters out at the domestic plant, and this only affects one of the meters. I'm still trying to figure out what the other meter controls. And that's another, like, $80,000 a year electric bill on that 1 meter alone, and no one can tell me what that does. I'm to the point where I'm looking for the plans to start looking at the electrical plans to try to figure out where it goes.
Well, it's real simple. We turn it off, and then we know what stops working.
Exactly.
That's the way we do it in our industry. When everything else fails,
really
you
want
shut
me
it
to
off.
start turning stuff off out of the plant.
Well, I'm sure between the mayor and I used to do all the PG&E bills, so when I worked here, so between the mayor and I think we could read some bills. Thank you.
Right, we go through it. So again, thank you. I know you're not the one who created the problem, and I know, especially in 2010, everything sounded great. But people now are finding out that it's not what was promised, so thank you again.
You're welcome.
Let's move forward with item.
I have a speaker card.
Oh, you have a speaker
on
card.
G2. Marty Richmond?
No, I have no compunction. I want extra time so I could say I told you so. I told you so, and I didn't tell you so yesterday. I told you so in 2010 when you bought it. The mistake was not buying a solar system, and the mistake was not figuring out what it would cost. The mistake was you didn't get one competitive bid. This council did not get one competitive bid for these guys. They came in here and sold you a bill of goods, and people on this council, and Mayor Gomez was not one of them. If it was, I would say so, believe me. There were people on this council who rigged that bid. And I'm saying that publicly, and if they want to sue me, they know where I live, okay? They rigged that bid to make sure there would be no time for a protest. They rigged it to make sure only the guy who made the arrangements was going to get the contract. They held closed-door meetings on that for weeks and weeks and weeks and never told a soul of the public. And then all of a sudden it came out, I think it was on a holiday weekend, and scheduled it for Monday for the vote. By the time anybody knew what was going on, it was all over. And they had somebody come in here and give them a job, okay? And all you had to do was read the contract, and you said, we're getting taken for a ride here, because the contract said we had to pay for all the power they generated, whether we used it or not. But if they did not generate power when we needed it, they were not going to give us any credit for that. So basically, that's a one-way contract. We paid for power we didn't use, and we were going to pay them and they weren't going to give us credit if we said, where's my power? And they said, sorry, we don't have any for you today because we didn't take care of the plant. Nobody in their right mind would sign a contract like that, okay? But we did it, and here we are. And now we're about to make another mistake if we're going to jump in and buy this system, because this is a lot more complicated than you think. Because we have to determine if those solar panels are of a quality that is putting out as much electricity as it's supposed to over its life age. You could buy it at 5 years and find out at 6 years nothing's happening. They all close down and go away. So we have to take a look at what those solar panels were supposed to put out per square meter or however it was rated, and how 5 years later what it was supposed to put out per square meter on a certain amount of light, and whether or not it's meeting that requirement. Then we have to look at other solar panels made by the same manufacturer. Hope you'll let me extend for a few seconds.
Go ahead.
And another same manufacturer, same model, and see if they're lasting as long as they should. Otherwise, you're going to buy something and it's going to go bye-bye the day after you buy it. As far as PG&E goes, their rate system is impossible. If it was just a straight rate, no matter how complicated it was, it would be easy. The problem is they keep charging you for standby time, for whether or not they have a plant that doesn't deliver anything to you, but you have to pay for it in an industrial setting. You pay for that standby time. Whether you use the power, you don't use the power, it doesn't make any difference. So it gets really complicated. And in the summer, when everybody turns on their air conditioner, you know what happens to the rates. So I think it's more complicated than you think. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy it. I just say we need to do a lot more work before we decide to make another mistake on top of our original mistake. As far as this goes, I'm sorry I had to wait this many years to say I told you so. But I've been saying I told you so since the day it happened, and I want the public to understand that competition is what gets you the best price and the best answer, okay? Nobody would buy their own automobile without any competition, much less this. The fact that the government is willing to go out and spend millions of dollars with no competition at all, in fact, lock out people who are fully qualified to do it so they can give it to their friends, is ridiculous. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
No more speakers, Mr.
No
Mayor.
more speaker cards, so. Thank you, and again, I think Councilmember Luna volunteered to work with the PG&E. I will sit down with you and I can explain exactly how it works. And the question, you're asking a valid question about the modules. Modules actually have a lifespan of closer to 50 years. That's not going to be the issue. I've walked that plant once before. I remember seeing the name brand. They're quality modules. The failure will be eventually with the inverters. That's the failing point. But that replacement is much cheaper than what we're paying here. What we're paying here is outrageously high for the system. Yeah, no, I've checked those already. So, again, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Move to item G3, reports from city council members regarding their committees. Councilmember Luna.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the Gang Prevention Policy Committee meeting on May 27th. Unfortunately, no quorum. We had only 4 people there. We really needed 5 to conduct the meeting, and unfortunately, and really, I can't see this, because if people volunteer or are appointed to work on these committees, we had a great agenda. We had a presentation that was going to be made to us. regarding a youth group and, you know, and what they're doing. We were able to get some information from that meeting that did not occur. But, you know, it was very, very unfortunate that that some of us just really take the time to attend these meetings because they are important. This is a gang, you know, prevention committee meeting, and so we did not have a quorum. So I just want to put that out, and I'm hoping that people take in consideration that, you know what, even if they have an alternate, call your alternate to make sure that somebody is there so that we can have a quorum. Thank you.
May I ask her a question, a very short?
Yes.
Just for informational purposes, is the San Benito High School a member of the Gang Prevention Task Force at this time?
I don't think so.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gomez.
Nothing. Thank you, Marty.
Councilmember Clower.
I did not have any meetings.
Same here. I did not have any meetings, but I think Councilmember Luna, you're bringing up a good point.
Bless
I
you.
think it's important that as members of these committees, we attend them. Obviously, there's times that we can't attend these meetings, but maybe what we should do is keep a chart of attendance records through all the committees, because if you're taking your time to attend a committee and another elected official, another person doesn't show up, the public should know that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just fair for them, it's for you, or all of us, for taking the time to meet, and having a meeting canceled on you because of lack of a quorum is difficult. And again, I know it happens where somebody's busy, but we can make those things work out if we're being proactive.
Especially, you know, for the person that has to do all this agenda, and also the speakers that are invited to be there, and they were there. You know, it was very unfortunate.
All right, let's move forward to the informational reports from City Council. Councilmember Luna?
I don't have any.
Councilmember Gomez?
Nothing.
Councilmember Clower?
Yeah, I have a couple of things I'd like to mention. The first is that it's been kind of nice to see people switching to drought-tolerant landscaping in the last few months. I know there's a guy on San Benito Street who changed maybe 6 months ago, and he has a beautiful yard on the corner there. Somebody on West Street did the same thing, and I like a nice lawn, but it seems that the drought-tolerant landscaping brings in some more color, which is kind of neat. And a lot of people are doing a good job with that. And the new homes that are coming in as well, they look pretty good with the drought-tolerant landscaping. I know Marty mentioned that we maybe aren't having the smaller front yards, but it seems like the new homes are a little closer to the street, at least in the Benchmark neighborhood. I know that because I'm hoping my car could fit in the driveway. But it does look pretty good over there. Another thing I'd like to mention, appreciate Marty and all the work you do and the research and everything. Got a couple emails from you on the libraries, and I'm kind of hoping, I don't know what we can do as far as the library situation, but he made me pretty aware that our situation is pretty terrible compared to most libraries and counties and cities. So I'd like to look at what we're allocating toward that in the budget this year, and if we can do something, then maybe start teaming up with the county to kind of make some adjustments there. I know that's not really our cost center, but I think that most of the people who are going into the library are coming from the city. And then the last thing, I'd just like to thank Jill and Abraham. I've had a lot of questions for the planning department in the last couple weeks, and they've been really responsive and kind of thorough in their answers, so that's been really good.
Thank you. Wanted to point out I'll be attending the Pinnacles High School graduation ceremonies in a couple days. I also attended the Hollister Schools band event at Mars Hill the other day, and Mr. Joe Fata was there. He was the grand finale. It's really incredible to watch all these young people take their instruments out, having seen them a few months before and the improvements they've made, and no doubt Joe really inspires them to get better. And need to thank the instructor, Ms. Silvera, really goes out of her way to teach our kids how to use these instruments, and so many talented young people there. It's really impressive to watch, and I'm glad that the school district has brought back the music program. They're bringing back a lot of really important programs, so it's great to see it. I'll also be attending an event for 2 Eagle Scouts in a couple days. I don't have their names here, but I'll make sure I mention them at the next meeting. Very proud of them. City Manager.
I actually have nothing to report, but I will not be here tomorrow. If anybody has any major catastrophes, they should contact Dave Westrick, because he will be acting in my behalf. And I hope something happens.
It's not very nice.
That isn't.
City Attorney.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Chief.
Yeah, 2 things. This past Saturday, I attended the California State Mad Hero Awards with Officer Johnny Garcia, who received state recognition for his outstanding work in DUI investigations. It was an amazing night because of the 400 or so participants, he was clearly one of the top ones. And again, Hollister PD also received recognition for its overall effort to combat drunk driving. It was a really nice event, and pretty impressed. We've been, I think it's our 12th or 13th year in a row, I believe, just for our efforts. Secondly, to answer what Marty's concern was, I just actually met with the high school, and they are very interested in joining the gang policy committee. And they'll be coming to future meetings and discussing becoming a full member, actually. And that's kind of on the heels of them trying to, I think, really trying to reverse some of the things that may have caused them not to do that in the past. And this was the same conversation we had about the SRO, and I'll kind of go into that right now. So we are actively still talking to them about that, and I think we actually have a good agreement. However, this last week, we were able to do some research and found another grant for school resource officers. So I think that there's an opportunity for us to actually save some money if we were able to get this grant. And I think we have a really good shot at it, actually. So whereas we would have saw, if we were to proceed forward with the proposal now, we'd be at 50%. But if we're able to get this grant, I think initially we'd be at about 33%. So that's a way better deal, obviously. And so we'll go ahead and probably apply for the grant to see if we're eligible for it. And it'll be up to council to decide if they want to accept it and then enter an agreement with the school resource officer for San Benito County. So that's probably some pretty good news, actually. Save some money for over about a 4-year period, actually.
That's excellent news. Councilmember Luna had a question, I believe.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to comment that, sometimes it's really nice to report of what young people do in this community. I attended the LULAC's 68th convention in Monterey 2 weeks ago. They had a leadership team that they invited from young people, college, university students. There was 8 students in the leadership panel, and I can tell you 6 of them were from San Benito. They were graduates of San Benito High School with PhDs, with professional careers. I just felt so proud in that room to see our young people, just like this young man, Veda, actually the way he performed, and so many Facebook messages that I got and said, he's from Hollister, he's from your town, and to see these young people shine up there on a platform, speaking about careers, speaking about their education, speaking about the struggles to get those degrees. I just have to say that I'm very, very proud of all our young people in San Benito County that go on to higher education. And on Friday, many will be graduating. So we all congratulate the class of 2015. Thank you.
So true. City Clerk?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Thank you very much. Item H, I, J, and K, there is no business. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0 vote. Thank you very much, everyone.